I guess I would say I used to not like moving at all. I mean, when I was younger, like a teenager for sure, I just didn't like moving because I just felt like people were... Well, when I say people, I mean, who would have been watching me, really? I guess, like, I didn't want my teacher watching me move, which is a bit of an odd thing to say now. But I guess I was always quite inhibited in that kind of way. Like, I never really liked to dance. Well, I guess I was quite shy, really. I always had the feeling that I wanted a performance to be something that came out of the instrument rather than something that you watched necessarily. Am I aware of my body being watched? I don't know if I'm performing that I'm overly aware that my body is being watched. No, actually. I think it's a bit weird with the cello because I suppose the cello is actually in front of most of your body. So I'd say the thing I'm interested in is watching people's hands, I think, especially when it's a cello because you can see the hands so much. It's not really much of the body you can actually see, which I think is quite nice.
Rolling.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. I wondered if you might feel surprised about some of the things I said about my cello, perhaps compared to your feelings about your flute. So how do you actually feel about your flute? And do you think you project your feelings about the flute and your relationship with it onto me?
Yes, I think I do. I think you have a much more practical relationship with your cello, even though you have such an affectionate kind of warmth towards it. It's still for you a tool.
Yeah.
To communicate things with.
Yeah.
My flute, I don't play as much. I don't, you perform all the time. I don't play very often. And I think over the years, I've just hated the repertoire I've played on it. And it's made... a lot of the repertoire I've played is so fragile and pretty, and it doesn't at all reflect me as a person. I feel how I want to kind of communicate myself through an instrument. If you thought of this as a gruesome passage, one of our gruesome passages, what would you do to make that more gruesome? Okay. I like watching your hand dance.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that you're watching it. I'm just listening. That's the problem we've got. I want it to sound really nice.
What do you mean?
I mean, I want it to be all in tune and lovely and beautiful. But that's obviously not going to happen.
discomfort as a composer, I do find it quite an interesting place for the performer to be in, just because it means that you're experimenting with something that's not familiar to you. And I think I've talked about before how I enjoy it. I like it when something impacts the flow of something, and if it's discomfort or tension in a hand that's impacting how smooth it can be, I find that really interesting.
But what about you as a performer?
What discomfort means to me as a performer?
Yeah, in comparison to...
I think that's tied up in discomfort with how I could be being watched. Because I'd previously created a piece that had also not intended to have any kind of intimate layers at all, but because of the kind of sounds I was creating on it and the way it was filmed, it had become to have all this extra meaning.
One of the things I specifically said was, I don't want this to have any sexual content in it.
I felt awkward that it was almost happening again.
It was like
this
the one thing I said.
intimacy.